Thank you very much. I've had some great conversations about all things apprenticeships with everyone today already, and it's been fantastic. There's been so much interest in what UCAS are doing, actually, and so, you know, I guess essentially one say apologies if you've heard some of this already today, but I've spoken to a lot of you, but I'd really like to share some of what we're doing at UCAS, some of the whys and the whats and the hows of what we're doing to open up greater choice for people considering their next steps. And that's both for those students, those people, but also for recruiters as well, placing apprenticeship opportunities side by side with undergraduate opportunities. I expect many of you in this room will know UCAS as the admissions service. You know, we're the people that help you get up into university. Many of you will have come across UCAS. Many of you will probably have children, I expect, that may be going through the UCAS processes at the moment. So you might be wondering on that basis what we're doing here today, talking about apprenticeships at all. Why are we talking about running apprenticeship programs? And in a way you'd be right, because of course university admissions is still one of our core services, and we've been doing that since the early 60s, but over that time we've transitioned really from an admissions brand into a discovery brand, providing information, advice and guidance to millions of people so that they can discover their university options. And when it comes to apprenticeships, we've been doing a little bit here and there for about 7 years. So we've been paying some attention to it here and there, perhaps a page of advice and guidance and signposting. But about 2 years ago, it was decided that we would give our work in apprenticeships some real heft, some people, some resources, and now, as you'll see, it's embedded in our corporate strategy that we want to empower people to discover their next steps across all higher education pathways, and that includes apprenticeships. And now apprenticeships are the biggest single investment at UCAS, so we're really putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to apprenticeships. So why do we think that apprenticeships are a critical part of opening up greater choice for people? Well, a big part of this is the demand from the people that come to UCAS. So we ask everyone that creates a UCAS Hub account, and the UCAS Hub is the logged-in environment that kind of personalises everything from ucas.com all into one place. We ask them if they'd like to receive further information about apprenticeships. We ask them if they'd like to opt into an apprenticeship talent pool. Essentially, are you interested in apprenticeships? A very consistent 500,000 of those 1.5 million users say, yes, please, we'd like to know more. And you can see from the chart over there how dramatically that's grown over the last few years since we first started asking in 2021. And I think we can expect that growth to continue. So we know that there is substantial and sustainable interest there. And we believe that we're in a prime position to bring apprenticeship opportunities and advice and guidance to people as a trusted source of information. And in fact, in a recent trust survey, UCAS was as trusted as the NHS and more trusted than the BBC for providing accurate information. So we think that we're the place to come when it comes to finding trustworthy information amongst people. We've got a network of 4,500 UCAS advisors in schools and colleges all over the UK. They're generally admissions-based at the moment, but they are our key line into talking to these schools about apprenticeships and about careers guidance. We also have 250,000 people attending our discovery exhibitions every year. And you might have seen these, you might have been to one. These are the ones where, well, essentially a load of school kids get off the bus and go into a massive exhibition centre, nick all the Haribo, but they also have a good look at traditionally universities exhibiting their courses. But if you were to go to one last year, and even more so this year, and it will be even more so next year, you'll see an employer village, so a whole couple of columns within that massive exhibition centre devoted to employers exhibiting their apprenticeship programmes. And they'll talk about them, they'll bring their existing apprentices along, and they'll be able to give the visitors to the UCAS exhibition a real sort of peer-to-peer insight into what it's like to be an apprentice. And you know, kind of 15 years ago, these exhibitions, you would have gone in there and you might have found 15 or 20 universities there with a trestle table and a few dusty old prospectuses. It is quite awesome now if you go to one of these discovery events, these discovery exhibitions, and the number of people there and the lights and the noise. It really is quite something. So I'd attend you to either go, I'd encourage you to attend to go to perhaps one of our flagship ones in London, Birmingham or Manchester. But there's about 45 other regional events as well to go to that they're well worth having a look at. We've also got, and I touched on this earlier, we've got 1.5 million people that are registered on our UCAS hub. And as I said, that personalises, that brings everything from ucas.com into a personalised journey for people based on their information and preferences. And to an extent, at the moment, side by side, personalised university and apprenticeship opportunities and information and guidance are surfaced to them. And we've also got 30 million visitors to ucas.com every year, all coming to us for that trusted source of information. So that's a substantial amount of people coming to UCAS. And that database, it's quite rich, and I've just given you one example here. But our PAD database, potential applicant database, that tells us a lot about people in general based on their information. But we can see, for example, what apprenticeship areas people are interested in. So you can see that 46% of people that expressed an interest in apprenticeships want to know more about apprenticeships in the business sector. But we can see much more than that. We can see how this differs by region, by age, GCSE results. There's some powerful data points in there. And I think it's important at this stage to emphasise that we're not trying to put apprenticeship opportunities above university degrees or indeed the other way around. We just want to help people, and that includes employers. We want to help people make the most informed decisions that they can about both the apprenticeship route and the undergraduate route as well. That said, there are, of course, some substantial benefits for employers to hiring apprentices and running apprenticeship programmes. And I know this morning Sue asked the room to give a show of hands as to which employers or how many employers were running apprenticeship programmes. And there are a few, and that's great. And we've had conversations today with people that are running apprenticeship programmes. But I think it's fair to say that many of you don't. So just to go over those substantial benefits there. Hiring apprentices or having apprentices as part of the mix of your workforce, it allows employers to shape the way that your teams are trained so that the skills relevant to your organisation are developed and enables employees to create a talent of pipeline for the future. And apprentices tend to stick around at the organisations that train them. So the talent that you train is the talent that you keep. And there are something like 650 different apprenticeship standards available at the moment, approved by IFATE. So there are very few careers or job roles that can't be accessed via the apprenticeship route. And I understand that at the moment in the NHS, there is actually a doctor apprenticeship being piloted at the moment. So that those kind of opportunities via the apprenticeship route are increasing all the time. And here's a few apprenticeships that I picked out in the insurance sector. Now, some of you, as I said, will be well across here, so you'll know which apprenticeships are available in the insurance sector. But you can see that we've got up there, we've got the level 3 insurance practitioner, the level 4 insurance professional, and the level 6 senior insurance professional. But there's also apprenticeships available in the supporting areas, the supporting roles in the insurance sector as well. There's apprenticeships in management, for example, or there's solicitor apprenticeships. There are plenty of roles to be filled via the apprenticeship route. Customer service teams, auditors. So it's pretty likely that you'll be able to find an apprentice for all your operations at your organisations. And you know, you don't have to take my word for it. You can ask Sky or Goldman Sachs or KPMG, BT, Legal and General, all running apprenticeship programmes. So you can see that a growing number of industries and companies and organisations are buying into the benefits of hiring apprentices. But we know that for people to really harness these benefits, we need to solve some problems. Apprenticeships, I think it is true to say, have a real image problem. And I will pick out some of the starker statistics from that slide there, but you can have a look. This is through some of our surveys and our research work. So 1 in 3 people say that say that they have received no information about apprenticeships at school at all. And I still hear stories from our school outreach partners that they will go into schools and they will see, when it comes to career guidance, they will see evenings or afternoons career guidance sessions where there is a room for people that want to go to university, the UCAS room, and then a room for people that they don't really know what to do with. So that careers guidance is really important. I think people are getting a lot of information about how to get into university, not so much about apprenticeships. And only 57% of people said that they believe an apprenticeship can lead to a good job. And that's against 87% that believe a degree will lead to a good job, an undergraduate degree. And only 4% of people associate the word prestigious with an apprenticeship. So there's a lot of work to do to make apprenticeships a credible option for people. Another problem that we're trying to solve, we know that journey for an apprenticeship applicant is difficult. And as I said before, awareness is low. There's many negative misconceptions about apprenticeships. It's really difficult for people to find up-to-date and accurate information about apprenticeships. And there isn't really one sort of single source of truth, I suppose. And if you were to Google apprenticeships right now, you'd find pages and pages of information, advice and guidance, some of it fantastic, current, up-to-date, really good, fit for purpose when it comes to school leavers or employers or recruiters or training providers. And some of it is years old, it's out of date, and it's inaccurate. So we want to solve that problem. We also know that there's a lack of support for people that are trying to navigate different application methods when applying for an apprenticeship. So some organisations, they might have, say, send me a CV and come along for an interview. Other employers, perhaps larger employers, they'll have multi-stage interviews, they'll have assessment centres, they'll have their own online screening tools. There's a lot for somebody that is thinking about applying an apprenticeship to consider. And that journey, at the moment, isn't particularly well supported, so we want to help with that as well. I think what it comes down to is that the journey for somebody applying to university is very well established, and they will get guidance on their personal statement, they will get guidance on finance, they'll get guidance on their accommodation. So by the time they arrive at their university, they pretty much know what they're going to get. They can even talk to people at that university via peer-to-peer chat and get the lowdown on what the course is like, what the university is like, the accommodation is like. It is a very well-informed journey. We want to make that journey equally well-informed and supported for apprenticeship applicants. So to give you an idea of what we are doing now, we spent the last 18 months getting our information, advice and guidance in excellent shape. And just to give you a few examples of that, I'll jump ahead there. For example, we've got our ultimate guides, and these are aimed at the younger end of our audience. So perhaps those 12, 13, 14-year-olds at school before they get to the GCSE stage and they've really got to take some options. These ultimate guides are really popular with that demographic. They kind of give a bare bones guide to apprenticeships, university courses and more. They've been really popular, as I say, and they aim to solve some of those misconceptions about apprenticeships that I spoke about earlier. And also reaching people at a younger age we think is key to solving some of those misconceptions about apprenticeships and to make them a credible option. We also have our industry guides, and that's where people can find out about apprenticeships in a particular industry. They've got information on how apprenticeships work. They've got videos from apprentices giving their take on their experience of being an apprentice in a particular industry. They've got average salaries and other labour force information, and also career paths as well. And we've got our employer profiles. They kind of do a similar thing to the industry guides, but by employers. So employers can really give a kind of shop window as to what it's like working as an apprentice in their organisation. You can have video on there, you can have testimonials, you can have interviews with apprentices, you can have peer-to-peer stuff on there as well, so that people that come to UCAS, they can go into an employer profile from Rolls-Royce or Goldman Sachs or any employer that puts up a profile with us, and they can find out what it's really like to be there as an apprentice, to get that journey really well informed. It's also a great chance for employers to be able to get their offer in front of our audience as well. We've also got our apprenticeship search tool, and this is where people can discover and apply for apprenticeship vacancies. So this has grown massively in the last few years. So in the last year, 232,000 people have applied for apprenticeships positions, and the number of vacancies and applications continues to grow. And you can see this is the front end of our Career Finder jobs board at the moment. You can search by sector, location, type of apprenticeship, and again, it's free for employers to display their apprenticeship vacancies, as it is for employers to upload one of their employer profiles to ucas.com as well. So that's a little bit about what we're doing now, and I would like to finish by sharing a little bit about what the future looks like and our plans. There's our quite high-level roadmap there. But the first thing, 2023, we're rebuilding, reimagining that jobs board that I spoke about, our apprenticeship vacancy search tool. At the moment, it's a pretty decent jobs board. It's a good jobs board, but it's a third-party piece of software that's sort of been bunged on ucas.com. It doesn't really look like the rest of UCAS. It's not familiar. And really importantly, and this is why we're really excited about it at UCAS, at the moment, it doesn't talk to the other parts of UCAS. So, for example, it doesn't talk to the UCAS hub, to that logged-in environment. And when it's built into UCAS by, I think we're releasing the beta in the next few weeks, and it will go live sometime in the summer. The Reimagine tool will be able to integrate to that with that UCAS hub, and it will bring personalised recommendations, kind of hyper-personalised recommendations for apprenticeship opportunities and undergraduate opportunities. And it will really put those apprenticeship opportunities side by side with undergraduate courses. Also, in autumn this year, we're going to be rolling out our employer talent finding tool. We might well call it Talent Finder, we don't know yet. But it's in the offing at the moment. And this is going to be a kind of self-service digital connection where employers will be able to say, for example, I want 40 applicants for my insurance apprenticeship in Manchester. They'll be able to tell Talent Finder this. They'll be able to define their desired criteria, and then the talent finding tool will match with our 1.5 million users. It will look at that database there. And it will match their requirements to people that have registered for the UCAS hub. And then it will come back with those matches. If there are too many matches that have been found, then the employer, the recruiter, can then refine their criteria down again. But what the service aims to do is to get the best candidates suited to the employer's vacancy. And then in 2024, the apprenticeship vacancy tool, the talent finding tool, and the UCAS hub will all work together to bring personalised content and recommendations to the user. So if you think of the way that we interact with Apple Music or Amazon Prime, we really do like recommendations in society at the moment, don't we? That's how we listen to music, that's how we watch films. We really like recommendations. And we think that people will interact with the UCAS hub in the same way. So the UCAS hub will learn about the user's preferences, their behaviours, so that personalised content and opportunities relevant to them is surfaced within that UCAS hub. And the longer the account is open, the longer the user interacts with it, the more that it learns about them, and the more accurate and relevant those recommendations become. And then by the end of 2024, we will have developed an apprenticeship application tool. And that will take the data from the UCAS hub, from the user, and it will use it to both populate a personal statement for university, but also the same information will be used to populate an apprenticeship application form as well. And then by 2025, we will have integrated application support tools for interviews. So that journey that I said that wasn't necessarily that well supported when it comes to interviews and assessment centres and application process, we'll have tools for the students to be able to get them ready for that interview, or get them ready for that assessment centre, or get them ready for that CV, if indeed CVs exist in 2025. I think they're going out of fashion. Also, by the end of 2025, then we want to have some kind of form of apprenticeship clearing as well, just as we have for university and undergraduate clearing. So perhaps somebody isn't successful in their first 1 or 2 or 3 applications for an apprenticeship vacancy. That clearing process will match them with a relevant opportunity, perhaps through regional support, perhaps through other avenues, but it will get them that apprenticeship that they want, that apprenticeship program that they want, relevant to them, but with another employer. So some form of apprenticeship clearing. And also at the end of 2025, then we want to be able to say that we have achieved parity with the undergraduate experience. And the headline really for what we're doing at UCAS with apprenticeships is that everything we do for an undergraduate applicant, we want to do for an apprenticeship applicant as well. So that's how and why UCAS is opening up greater choice to people. That's why we're talking so much about apprenticeship at the moment. We really want to make it easier for everyone involved to make the best informed choice they can about their next steps. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Peter, thank you very much indeed.
Sorry.
That's okay, no worries. Fascinating. 2026, you'll deserve a holiday, I would think, by then. You can have a rest. But it's so refreshing to hear. It honestly is. And hopefully everyone else in the audience sort of shares this, that, it's really kind of bringing apprenticeships and how you approach them, the accessibility kind of into the modern era, if you like. So hats off to you guys for what you're doing. I know there's some questions have come through. Go on, have you got a quick one, Nick? A quick one.
So I suppose segue on the last thing that Pete just said there, parity for an apprentice and an undergrad. Is one of the opportunities to create the apprenticeship and receive a degree at the end of the apprenticeship, similar to an undergrad would at the end of a degree course? And is that something that you're working on?
Yeah, degree apprenticeships already exist. We cover at UCAS, we cover levels 2 to 7 of apprenticeships. So level 2 being, as you might have guessed, I don't know why there's not a level 1, by the way, but there's not. So level 2 is the kind of entry level. Level 7 is the kind of master's level. Level 6 is the undergraduate degree level. So there are already degree apprenticeships available. And you saw one on the list that I put up earlier, that level, in insurance, in fact, there's a level 6 degree apprenticeship for insurance as well. So that already exists, and that's supported by universities. Universities are they provide the kind of learning component, the academic component of that degree apprenticeship. So yeah, they're already there.
Just one quick one. What's the quickest and best way for people to engage with UCAS?
Well, the absolutely quickest way is going to visit my colleague on the stand just outside the door there. But for the most relevant part, probably for the people in this room, if you go to UCAS/employers and just Google us there, and then you'll be able to find all our employer services and the relevant stuff there. But yeah, you'll find us via Google and get in touch. But please speak to me and my colleague on the stand after today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Once again, round of applause for Peter, please.
Anyway.